don't I get to just sit in the pew at Mass and watch? Can't the lay faithful rely on the priest or collectively the deacon or the lector, cantor, choir to do their jobs? Or is it true, as you know, we hear all the time in the church, that the people in the pews really do have responsibilities while they are at the Mass? Well, what is the responsibility of the people? To answer these questions, stay tuned to this third video in a series of videos talking about Pope Francis' June 2022 letter about the liturgy that he sent to all the clergy, religious, and lay faithful of the Church. Stay tuned. If we haven't met, my name is Deacon Richard Hudzik, and I use this channel to hand on the faith. And the questions of today's video might all be grouped under the heading of who's responsible here? That is, here at the Mass, what's my job? Some clarity comes when we examine what this event is that we are talking about. Well, for starters, we have often heard that the Eucharist is said to be both the source and summit of the Christian life, or to use some of the words of Pope Francis in the June 29, 2022 apostolic letter with the difficult name of Desiderio Desideravi, Jesus' words in Luke's Gospel, meaning I earnestly desired. The Mass is where Jesus earnestly desired and still does desire to eat the Passover meal with us. We are at Mass responding to his prior call to us to share with us the Eucharistic banquet and sacrifice. In the teaching of this document, the Mass is a place of encounter with God. It is the means by which we respond to the Lord's yearning to be with us. The way we describe the Eucharist, source, summit, divine encounter. Well, that kind of predicts the answers to our questions about whether I get to rest in the pew or whether there's something more to which I'm invited. Something that is both the source as well as the goal of our life and the place of divine encounter that requires our careful attention and full investment. We've got to be all in, really, on something so important. And we can naturally assume that the priest of the Mass is very much on for the liturgy, but he's not the star of the show, the center of attention. The Pope talks about the priest's role, and we'll get to that later. But let's turn first to those other than the priest at the Mass. Let's talk about us today. Pope Francis ennobles the laity and uplifts their dignity by his understanding of the heights to which the laity, anyone at the Mass, are called. This is no program, as we used to say, of pay, pray, and obey. Rather, the Desiderio document quotes 5th century Pope Leo the Great's memorable line, "Our participation in the body and blood of Christ has no other end than to make us become that which we eat." Attendance at Mass, participation in it, has to pay attention to that goal. We walk into the church broken, and we are to emerge in due course in a lifetime of devotion to be what we eat, to become one with Christ. We don't sit on our hands to have that transformation occur. We are all also challenged to surrender something of our vision from the modern world that may inhibit our ability to see the symbolic. In a world driven by efficiency, where knowledge is too often only what can be measured, our view of what transpires before us on the altar or what is happening in our hearts might escape our notice. The Pope calls for us to become aware that we may need to become small, as he says, and surrender to the possibility that there is more than meets the eye at Mass. Rather than sitting in the pew waiting for something to be demonstrated for us or proven to us, the Mass goer is to seek a reality deeper than the physical. As part of this symbolic alertness, the active participation of the Mass goer is increased when he sees that his very physical motions are part of the liturgy. We gather and we walk in procession, we sit, stand, and kneel, because different elements of the Mass call for different and sympathetic bodily attitudes. We sing, we join in acclamations, we respond to petitions, we look, we listen, we offer our gifts. As we recover our consciousness of symbol, we see that we are not merely moving our body around. No, as a dancer does, we are saying something with our bodies. We also, for a while, will remain in silence, to embrace silence as a symbol of the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. We are in silence as we gather our thoughts and begin to pray. We are in silence upon receiving the Eucharist, at which point we are immediately in contact with what, or better said, with whom will change us. For lack of a better way to phrase this, we can say that the Pope calls us to see that the end of the liturgy will bring us to a place of transformation as a result of a process of spiritual formation. The Mass will literally make changes in us. We will be better, closer to God as a result of our conscious attendance at Mass. We will be catechized by the Mass. And in order to get there, we also need to be catechized for the Mass. It is that prior initial catechization that the Pope in his letter starts with. He notes that unless we are evangelized by the Mass, that liturgy was not, to use his word, authentic. The Mass wasn't real. It was perhaps only like a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And here the Pope means C-Y-M-B-A-L and not S-Y-M-B-O-L. We've got to get our symbols straight. The long and short of it is, no, I ought not sit in the pew waiting for something to happen to me. I'm not there for entertainment. I'm at Mass to be changed at my core and to meet Jesus, who from all eternity has yearned to be with me. I have to open my eyes and ears and heart and surrender and give myself over. Next time we'll talk about what the Pope asks of priests and other ministers in Desiderio Desideravi. Thank you for watching. Please hit the button, the like button, subscribe, and this helps in the evangelization effort of this channel. And also, let me know if the Pope has offered a diagnosis that resonates with your experience. For the other videos in this series, click on the links above or in the description below. See you next time. God bless you.